Welcome, naive globetrotters and optimistic vacationers, to the crowded plazas of the global tourism matrix, where your most vulnerable asset isn't your wallet, your passport, or your expensive smartphone, but your own deeply hardwired social programming. We begin Part 1, the reciprocity trap, a cold, clinical, and unapologetically cynical deconstruction of the behavioral manipulation, psychological leverage, and street-level extortion tactics engineered by expert syndicates to turn your basic human politeness into an open invitation for theft. The modern street criminal doesn't rely on blunt force or hidden shadows. They operate in broad daylight, utilizing your deep-seated evolutionary terror of public embarrassment and social awkwardness against you. We initiate this forensic security audit by examining the aggressive choreography of scam number 1, the legendary friendship bracelet force. As you stroll past historic landmarks in Paris, Milan, or Rome, an extraordinarily cheerful operator steps into your path, smiling warmly and holding out a colorful strand of cheap braided string. Before your brain can register the boundary violation, they deftly grab your hand and tie the knot tightly around your wrist, all while smoothly repeating that it is a free gift of welcome, a symbol of international harmony. Let us dissect the cold mechanics of this psychological trap. The moment the knot is secured, the operator's warm demeanor instantly vanishes, replaced by a cold, transactional hostility. They loudly demand an extortionate payment of 20 or 30 euros. If you attempt to untie the cheap string, they step closer, invading your personal space and accusing you of theft or disrespect, actively counting on the fact that your civilized brain will choose a submissive financial transaction over a loud public scene in a foreign language. This manipulation of forced hospitality takes an even more cynical turn when it cloaks itself in the guise of traditional folklore, bringing us directly to the botanical extortions of scam number 2, the rosemary sprig or Rose of Sharon trick. Frequently deployed near historic cathedrals in Madrid, Seville, or Naples, this theatre features seemingly frail, elderly women who wander through the crowds clutching bundles of common weeds. With a practiced speed that belies their age, they thrust a small green sprig into your hand or clip it directly to your lapel, immediately launching into a rapid, sing-song blessing for your health, your family, and your travels. The tourist naturally smiles, accepting the gesture as an authentic piece of local color. However, the moment you attempt to walk away with your blessed weed, the frail grandmother transforms into an aggressive extortionist. She blocks your path, demanding a hefty cash contribution for her spiritual services. If you refuse or proffer a single small coin, she drops all pretense of piety, screaming dramatic curses and attracting a wave of public attention, utilizing the gaze of the surrounding crowd as a weapon to force compliance from an embarrassed traveler desperate to escape the spotlight. The predatory exploitation of your conditioned manners moves from spiritual blessings directly to physical logistics, introducing the logistical hostage-taking of scam number 3, the helpful luggage lifter. The primary hunting grounds for these operators are the steep, ancient stone staircases of European train stations and transit hubs, where weary travelers can be seen struggling with heavy rolling suitcases. A clean-cut, polite individual will suddenly appear at your side, effortlessly plucking the heavy bag from your hands with a reassuring smile that implies pure chivalric intent. The exhausted tourist breathes a sigh of relief, climbing the steps behind their savior. But let us look at the reality of this administrative seizure. The moment you reach the top of the stairs, the helpful stranger refuses to relinquish the handle of your luggage. Their smile hardens into a commercial glare as they inform you that you now owe an assistance fee of 10, 20, or 50 local currency units to retrieve your belongings. You are caught in a position of complete tactical vulnerability. Your primary identity documents and valuables are locked inside a bag held hostage on a crowded platform, leaving you with no functional choice but to pay the ransom to an operator who has successfully monetized your reluctance to scream for transit police. This structural weaponization of human empathy reaches an even higher level of organization when syndicates target your social conscience, leading us to the paper traps of scam number 4, the fake silent petition, also known across the European continent as the deaf-mute scam. This operation is driven by highly disciplined crews of young girls who fan out across crowded public squares carrying official-looking plastic clipboards. They approach you silently, pointing to a printed form adorned with a stolen logo of the United Nations or a fictional international charity for disabled children, handing you a pen to sign your name in support. Let us analyze the dual layers of this trap. As you look down at the clipboard to read the text, the rigid board is intentionally angled to physically block your downward field of view, creating a blind spot over your own waist and pockets. While you are cognitively occupied trying to decipher the fraudulent petition, a second, younger accomplice moves silently into your blind spot, using the cover of the clipboard to pick clean your unzipped purse or pocket. Even if you manage to avoid the pickpocket, signing the paper triggers layer 2, a compliance trap where the operator aggressively points to a column on the form stating that your signature binds you to an immediate, mandatory cash donation, shaming you into paying a syndicate that treats human compassion as an easily exploitable security loophole. The theatrical manipulation of human greed and luck takes a classic deceptive path when we analyze the metallurgy of scam number 5, the lost gold ring trick. An operator walks slightly ahead of you on a sidewalk, suddenly stopping to bend down and pick up a large, gleaming, heavy gold band right at your feet, turning to you with an expression of wide-eyed astonishment. They ask if you dropped your valuable jewelry, and when you logically say no, they gasp, proclaiming that it must be your lucky day, insisting that you keep this genuine treasure as a gesture of cosmic good fortune. Let us strip the gold plating from this behavioral illusion. The ring is not gold. It is a worthless chunk of industrial brass, stamped with a fake hallmark, manufactured by the thousands in illegal factories. The moment you accept the heavy ring into your palm, the operator pauses, looking sheepish as they explain that they are completely broke, hungry, or trying to buy a train ticket home. They ask for a small, humble reward, perhaps €20, for finding the treasure. Your brain calculates the massive profit margin between €20 and a heavy gold ring, convincing you to hand over the cash, leaving you holding a piece of cheap plumbing metal that will turn your finger green within 24 hours. The conversion of public spaces into extraction fields reaches its most kinetic state when syndicates orchestrate mass distractions, bringing us straight to the pickpocket rings of scam number 6, the street performance crowd squeeze. Whether it is an energetic circle of urban breakdancers, a fast-talking street magician, or a frantic 3-card Monty shell game on a folding table, these free spectacles are almost never funded by voluntary tips. The performance itself is merely a highly calculated visual screen engineered to compress the human density of a public square. As the crowd packs tightly together to see the show, their attention is entirely monopolized by the spectacle, and their personal space boundaries are completely lowered by the shared social setting. This is the exact moment the pickpocket syndicate moves through the tightly squeezed audience from behind. In a compressed crowd, a light brush against your hip or a subtle nudge against your backpack is easily dismissed as an accidental bump from a fellow spectator, allowing highly skilled fingers to strip passports, cash, and luxury watches from a distracted audience that is literally applauding their own financial liquidation. Finally, we decode the subtle psychological scouting report that precedes the actual theft, exposing the profiling mechanisms of scam number 7, the direct compliance test. An operator steps up to you on a street corner, politely asking if you have a light for a cigarette, if you know the current time, or if you can give them simple directions to the nearest train station. Let us expose the chilling reality of this social screening. The stranger does not care about the time, the light, or the geography. This interaction is a fast, highly sophisticated diagnostic test designed to evaluate you as a potential target. Within a 3-second window, the operator is measuring your physical reaction speed, your posture, your level of situational awareness, and your vocal accent. If you stop dead in your tracks, nervously fumble for your phone to check the time, or display a submissive, overly apologetic body language, you have just signaled to the syndicate that you are a highly compliant, easily distracted tourist with zero situational awareness, marking you as the primary target for the next phase of the extraction matrix. We leave behind the subtle traps of forced politeness and plunge directly into the frantic, high-stress environments of the urban transit hub to begin Part 2, Orchestrated Chaos, a cold, clinical, and unforgivingly cynical autopsy of the physical disruptions, sensory overloads, and manufactured panics engineered by expert syndicates to completely bypass your logical thinking. The modern street thief understands that the human brain possesses a strict cognitive processing limit. If they can flood your nervous system with a sudden shock, a gross sensory violation, or a flash of deep panic, your attention will entirely withdraw from your physical perimeter to focus on the immediate crisis. We initiate this behavioral breakdown by analyzing the slippery mechanics of scam number 8, the notorious condiment or mustard spill ruse. As you walk through a bustling public square or train station, you suddenly feel a wet, heavy splash land on the back of your shoulder. An incredibly apologetic, deeply concerned bystander instantly rushes to your side, holding a fistful of tissues and pointing out that a passing bird or a careless child has just coated your expensive jacket in dark mustard, mayonnaise, or fake bird droppings. Let us look at the intense physical closeness of this clean-up theatre. The helpful stranger immediately begins wiping down your clothes, dabbing at the stain, and gently unbuttoning your jacket to help you take it off. Your brain is entirely consumed by disgust and embarrassment, focusing exclusively on the stain. Meanwhile, the stranger's highly trained fingers are smoothly navigating your exposed inner suit pockets and unshielded lining, transferring your passport and high-denomination currency to a trailing accomplice before you even realize that the condiment didn't fall from the sky. It was squirted from a hidden plastic bottle by the very person wiping it off. This tactical overload shifts from gross fluids directly to the physical physics of movement, introducing the structural traps of scam number 9, the accidental drop and bend. The primary hunting grounds for this operation are narrow choke points, such as escalator exits, turnstiles, or the doorways of crowded historical buses. An operator walking immediately in front of you suddenly halts, dropping a heavy box of loose coins, a scattering of keys, or a massive unfolded cascade of tourist maps directly across your path. The polite, conditioned tourist naturally stops to avoid stepping on the items, and frequently bends down to assist the flustered individual in gathering their scattered property. Let us analyze the biomechanical vulnerability of this posture. The moment you bend your knees and tilt your torso forward to reach for the floor, the fabric of your trousers tightens over your thighs, pushing your wallet directly against the exterior fabric of your rear pockets. Simultaneously, your backpack shifts forward over your head, completely removing it from your field of sensation. A trailing accomplice, standing directly behind you in the jammed walkway, now has a perfect, unimpeded angle to cleanly pull your wallet or slide open the main compartment zippers of your bag, leaving the transit bottleneck with your valuables while you are still handing coins back to the actor on the floor. The exploitation of human panic reaches an even more brutal, high-stakes psychological peak when syndicates weaponize the fundamental human reflex to preserve life, bringing us straight to the terrifying choreography of scam number 10, the distressed baby throw. This high-stress theater is typically executed in crowded train stations or subway platforms by women dressed in traditional flowing garments. As you walk past, the woman locks eyes with you, lets out a dramatic shriek of despair, and literally launches a tightly wrapped bundle of swaddling clothes directly at your chest. Your primal evolutionary wiring overrides all logic. Your hands instantly fly up into the air to catch the falling infant, assuming a catastrophic impact is about to occur. Let us expose the cynical mechanics of this gravity trap. The bundle does not contain a human baby. It is a weighted plastic doll wrapped in heavy blankets. However, during the 2 or 3 seconds it takes for your brain to process the light weight and synthetic texture of the object, your hands are completely occupied, pinned to your chest, and your entire torso is left completely unguarded. While you stand frozen in absolute bewilderment, holding a fake child, the woman's younger accomplices swarm your waist, stripping your unzipped front pockets and cutting your watch strap with practiced precision, disappearing into the transit crowd before you can even drop the decoy back onto the pavement. This manufactured crisis moves from a singular, localized shock to a wide-scale theatrical performance, introducing the public disruptions of scam number 11, the sudden plaza fainter. This is a highly coordinated, multi-operator operation designed to target high-density tourist landmarks, such as the steps of Montmartre or the plazas of Florence. A seemingly ordinary tourist walking through the center of the crowd suddenly lets out a gasp, clutches their chest, and collapses heavily onto the cobblestones, apparently suffering a severe medical emergency. The natural flow of the crowd instantly jams. Onlookers freeze in shock. People turn their heads to look, and a small circle of worried citizens rushes forward to offer assistance. Let us audit the peripheral vision of that distracted crowd. The collapsed individual is a highly paid actor, and the citizens rushing forward to help are the core members of a pickpocket syndicate, while the entire plaza's collective gaze and cognitive focus are locked onto the medical drama on the ground. Trailing operators glide silently through the static, unmoving ring of onlookers from behind, clean picking the back pockets, purses, and camera bags of a distracted audience whose critical thinking has been entirely paralyzed by a simulated life-or-nothing tragedy. The physical manipulation of your locomotion takes a more aggressive, up-close approach when syndicates choose to disrupt your stride, leading us directly to the balance traps of scam number 12, the heel crush or stepped-on shoe. This operation is engineered to perfection inside the dense crowds moving through subway transfer tunnels or airport terminals. An operator walking immediately behind you intentionally clips the heel of your shoe with their own foot, applying just enough downward pressure to tear your shoe completely off your heel or cause you to stumble violently forward. The natural human reaction to a broken stride is immediate and predictable. You stop dead in your tracks, experience a flash of irritation, and turn around to inspect your damaged footwear or glare at the careless individual behind you. Let us look at the sensory blind spot created by this pivot. The moment you turn your head and torso 180 degrees to address the heel crush, your front pockets and inner jacket lining are swung directly into the path of a second operator who was walking alongside you. While you are locked in an apologetic conversation with the clumsy instigator behind you, their partner has already brushed past your front perimeter, lifting your phone and wallet with a light touch that is completely masked by the physical jarring of your stumble. The conversion of ordinary physical objects into total visual screens takes a literal turn when we analyze the geometry of scam number 13, the large map blind spot. This operation specifically targets tourists who are relaxing at outdoor cafes, terrace restaurants, or public park benches, where personal items like smartphones, wallets, or expensive laptops are frequently left resting on the table surface. An operator walks up to your table, looking deeply distressed and holding a massive, oversized physical paper map, completely unfolded to its maximum width. They lean over your space, spreading the massive sheet of paper directly over your table, your food, and your chest, while frantically shouting questions about local directions in a confusing torrent of words. Let us strip away the paper barrier to examine the crime scene beneath. The giant physical map is not a tool for navigation. It is a tactical visual screen designed to completely obliterate your line of sight to the table surface. While your eyes are searching the map to try and help, the operator's hand is moving silently beneath the paper cover, lifting your $1,000 smartphone or wallet off the table. They then fold the map back up, apologize profusely for troubling you, and walk away rapidly, leaving you staring at an empty tabletop that was picked clean right before your unseeing eyes. Finally, we dismantle the ultimate dramatic disruption of public security, exposing the aggressive misdirections of scam number 14, the mock street fight. Two young men suddenly begin shouting at each other in the middle of a busy sidewalk, their voices rising to a violent pitch as they begin shoving each other aggressively, knocking over trash cans and throwing wild, theatrical punches. The surrounding tourists instantly halt, pulling back to create a safe distance while staring in morbid fascination or looking around for security personnel, fully expecting a brutal outbreak of physical violence. Let us expose the stage management behind this brawl. The fight is completely fake. The punches are pulled, and the anger is entirely rehearsed. The two combatants are business partners who have staged this high-volume performance solely to draw the collective gaze and cognitive attention of every tourist within a 50-yard radius. While your eyes are locked onto the flashing fists and tumbling bodies, the rest of the syndicate moves through the stationary, frozen crowd from behind like a scythe through wheat, clean picking the unsecured pockets of an audience that is so absorbed in the free violence they don't even feel their life savings walking down the street. We bypass the chaotic theatre of physical distractions and step into the invisible, silent landscape of the modern digital grid to begin Part 3, High-Tech Exploits, a cold, clinical, and unapologetically cynical examination of how expert syndicates utilize advanced hardware, fraudulent networks, and social engineering to completely compromise your modern security infrastructure. The contemporary street criminal has traded the classic leather wallet, leather snatcher, for wireless scanners, micro cameras, and malicious code, exploiting your deep reliance on digital convenience and smartphones to strip away your assets without ever touching your skin. We initiate this technical autopsy by exploring the subtle mechanical ambush of scam number 15, the classic broken camera trap. While you are relaxing near a major historical monument, a seemingly ordinary, polite tourist approaches you, holding a high-end digital camera or a premium smartphone, asking if you would be so kind as to take a simple photograph of them in front of the landmark. The helpful traveler naturally agrees, accepting the electronic device into their hands. Let us analyze the hidden mechanical failure built into this polite transaction. The device is already internally broken, completely non-functional, and held together by nothing more than superficial friction. The moment you press the shutter button, the screen remains completely black, or as you try to hand it back, the operator intentionally lets their hands slip, causing the expensive device to smash violently against the stone pavement. The pleasant tourist instantly transforms into a raging, deeply traumatized victim, loudly accusing you of being clumsy, destroying their livelihoods, and ruining their vacation. They aggressively demand immediate cash compensation, often $300 or $400, to fix the broken gear, utilizing the threat of an immediate police intervention and public shame to extort massive payments from an intimidated tourist who falsely believes they actually caused the accident. This combination of physical mechanics and psychological leverage effortlessly transitions into the invisible airwaves of the digital transit car, introducing the wireless vulnerabilities of scam number 16, near-field communication, or NFC wireless pickpocketing. The primary hunting grounds for these technical operators are the tightly packed, suffocating confines of rush-hour subway cars and terminal shuttle trains, where passengers are forced to stand pressed tightly against one another. The thief does not dig through your pockets. They casually walk through the crowded aisle carrying a completely legal, standard commercial mobile payment terminal or a modified smartphone hidden inside a newspaper or a soft fabric bag. Let us look at the silent broadcast occurring through your clothes. The operator gently brushes the hidden terminal against the exterior of your rear trouser pockets, your jacket sides, or your backpack lining, right where your wallet is stored. If your credit or debit card is equipped with unshielded contactless payment technology, the high-powered terminal instantly emits an electronic query that bypasses the fabric, triggers an automatic wireless transaction, and deducts a preset maximum authorization amount, often 30 to 50 local currency units, directly from your bank account without ever requiring a PIN or a signature, allowing the thief to harvest thousands of dollars from an entirely oblivious train car before the transit line hits the next stop. The digital deception moves from the airwaves directly onto the physical surfaces of urban infrastructure, bringing us straight to the fraudulent geometry of scam number 17, hidden QR code sticker overlays. As you navigate a new city, you will naturally look to utilize automated services to pay for public parking meters, city tour buses, scooter rentals, or historical museum kiosks. On the side of the official machine, you notice a prominently placed, highly convenient QR code that instructs you to scan the image to skip the long waiting line and complete your payment instantly online. Let us audit the paper layer affixed to that metal surface. The QR code is not part of the city infrastructure. It is a high-resolution, waterproof sticker precisely printed by a syndicate and glued directly over the top of the official, legitimate matrix code. When the exhausted tourist scans the graphic with their smartphone camera, their browser is immediately redirected away from the city's secure merchant page to a highly convincing, flawlessly designed phishing website that perfectly mirrors the graphics, fonts, and logos of the local municipality. The moment you enter your full name, credit card number, expiration date, and 3-digit security code to secure your parking spot, your entire financial identity is instantly mirrored onto a command and control server located halfway across the world, leaving you with a fake digital receipt and an empty bank account. The exploitation of automated infrastructure takes a more direct human approach when we return to the transit stations, leading us to the predatory guidance of scam number 18, the helpful ticket machine assistant. The target zone for this operation is always a highly complex, multi-layered electronic ticketing kiosk found inside major international train stations, where long lines of confused, jet-lagged foreign travelers are desperately trying to decode foreign languages and confusing zone pricing structures. A clean-cut, polite individual wearing an official-looking lanyard or a high-visibility vest suddenly materializes at your shoulder, offering to navigate the confusing screen to help you purchase the correct transit pass. Let us deconstruct the dual angles of this administrative assistance. While the helper is rapidly pressing buttons on the touchscreen and loudly explaining the local transit laws to occupy your conscious attention, their peripheral vision is locked entirely onto your hands. As you pull out your credit card and input your 4-digit security PIN into the metal keypad, the assistant methodically records the sequence of numbers. Simultaneously, if you choose to pay with cash, they will utilize a fast-paced sleight of hand to distract you at the exact moment the machine drops your change, pocketing your high-denomination coins, or switching your official transit pass with a worthless, expired student ticket, leaving you stranded at the security turnstiles while your cloned financial credentials walk out the exit doors. The search for digital access moves from the ticketing machine directly to the invisible airwaves of public connectivity, introducing the data interception of scam number 19, rogue Wi-Fi hotspots. When a weary traveler steps out of a long, exhausting international flight, their primary instinct is to immediately connect to the internet to check their lodging details, coordinate transportation, or message family members. As you open your device's connectivity menu inside the terminal, you notice an unencrypted, completely open network titled Free Airport Wi-Fi, Transit Hub Guest, or Starbucks Lounge Open. Let us examine the data routing of this free connection. The network is not hosted by the airport authority or the local business. It is a localized wireless access point projected from a high-powered battery-operated router hidden inside the backpack of an individual sitting quietly nearby. The moment your smartphone or laptop connects to this rogue node, every single packet of unencrypted digital data flowing to and from your device must pass directly through the thief's monitoring software. By deploying a basic man-in-the-middle exploit, the syndicate can effortlessly harvest your unencrypted email passwords, personal bank logins, corporate credentials, and session cookies, turning your desperate search for a quick internet connection into a total compromise of your private digital life. The high-tech manipulation of physical banking hardware reaches an even more dangerous level of engineering when we examine the exterior walls of public squares, bringing us to the mechanical deceptions of scam number 20, ATM card skimming overlays. A tourist approaches a standard, well-lit bank ATM on a busy thoroughfare, inserts their debit card into the flashing green slot, inputs their security PIN, and withdraws their cash, completely satisfied that the transaction was entirely secure. Let us apply a forensic engineering examination to that plastic facade. The green card entry slot is actually a razor-thin, custom-molded plastic overlay containing a miniature magnetic strip reader and a battery-powered memory chip precisely glued right over the top of the real factory bezel. As your card passes through the mouth of the machine, the overlay silently duplicates the exact electronic data encoded on your card's magnetic track. Simultaneously, a micro-sized pinhole camera, cleverly disguised as a false plastic trim strip or a fake brochure holder mounted directly above the keypad, records a high-definition video of your fingers inputting your PIN, providing the syndicate with the complete cryptographic keys required to clone your physical card and systematically empty your checking account within a matter of hours. Finally, we decode the deep structural trap built into the physical ports of public infrastructure, exposing the weaponized hardware of scam number 21, juice-jacking USB ports. When your smartphone battery drops into the critical red zone at an international airport gate or a central train terminal, finding an available power outlet feels like a major victory. You locate a public charging station and plug your standard USB data cord directly into the pre-installed metallic USB ports embedded in the seating terminal or the charging kiosk. Let us look at the dual-purpose wiring of that standard connection. A standard USB port contains 4 distinct pins. 2 are engineered exclusively to transfer electrical power, while the other 2 are engineered to transmit digital data. The public charging ports utilized in this scam have been physically modified by syndicates who have run hidden data lines behind the public paneling. The moment you connect your device to the port, the hidden hardware initiates an automatic, high-speed digital handshake with your operating system, quietly bypassing your security prompts to execute automated scripts that systematically download your private photo library, copy your stored contact files, and plant invisible, long-term spyware deep within your phone's file structure, proving that the ultimate high-tech travel trap is the one that promises to give you power for free. We exit the digital grid and descend into the cold, concrete reality of the travel transition, the point where the human spirit is at its most malleable and physically exhausted. To begin Part 4, Transit and Lodging Extraction, a clinical audit of the logistical traps, institutional lies, and predatory redirects engineered by syndicates to exploit the transition between airports, train stations, and hotels. The modern travel industry operates on a foundation of trust, a resource that expert thieves identify as a high-yield, easily liquidated commodity. We initiate this forensic security audit with the most ancient and enduring predatory tactic of the ground transportation sector. Scam number 22, the classic broken meter taxi trap. As you step out of the arrival terminal, weary from a 12-hour flight, a driver approaches you with a welcoming smile, grabs your heavy luggage, and insists that you hop into their waiting sedan. The moment the vehicle begins to move, the driver reaches over to the dashboard, taps the digital taximeter, shakes their head with a practiced, regret-filled sigh, and informs you that the machine has experienced a sudden, inexplicable technical failure. They assure you that the price will be fair, a vague promise that is purely designed to disarm your skepticism. Once you arrive at your destination, however, the fair price magically shifts into a massive, arbitrary, and highly inflated flat fee. Your leverage is non-existent, your luggage is trapped inside the locked trunk, and you are standing in a foreign city at midnight, leaving you with the Hobson's choice of paying an extortionate ransom or engaging in a potentially violent confrontation with an operator who is betting on your desire for a quiet arrival. This classic street-level extortion is increasingly being usurped by digital trickery, leading us directly to the systemic dangers of scam number 23, the fake rideshare spoof. In the modern era, the tourist feels a sense of technological security by booking transit through a smartphone app, but the syndicate has evolved to weaponize that very interface against you. Independent drivers prowl the arrival pickup zones, holding smartphones that display high-resolution, pixel-perfect replicas of legitimate ride-sharing application screens. They flash these screens at you, pointing to a destination address that matches your own, luring you into an unregistered, unmarked private vehicle. Once the ride concludes, the facade collapses. The driver informs you that the app has experienced an error and will not process a credit card, loudly demanding that you pay for the trip in cash. If you argue, they point to the fact that you are now in an anonymous vehicle on a dark street, threatening that you will not be released until the full cash demand is met, effectively turning a simple transit request into a mobile kidnapping. The extraction process follows the traveler behind closed doors, infiltrating the sanctity of the private sanctuary with the predatory tactics of scam number 24, the late-night front desk call. You have finally settled into your hotel room, exhausted and drifted off to sleep when the telephone rings at 2 in the morning. A smooth, professional voice identifies themselves as the night receptionist, apologizing for the inconvenience but stating that a critical database error or a fraudulent charge alert requires immediate verification of your financial credentials. They tell you that unless you read your full credit card number, expiration date, and CVV code over the telephone right now, your booking will be flagged as invalid, and you will be forced to vacate your room into the street before sunrise. The human brain, addled by sleep and the terror of being rendered homeless in a foreign land, frequently enters a state of immediate compliance. You read the details, the caller thanks you, and the next morning you wake up to find your bank account drained of its entire balance by a criminal who knew exactly how to weaponize your fatigue against the institutional authority of a hotel. This exploitation of the hotel relationship takes a more manipulative, preemptive path when we analyze the logistics of scam number 25. The hotel is closed or burned down, lie. You step into a taxi at the train station and present the address of the hotel you booked months in advance. But the driver's face immediately drops into an expression of staged concern. They inform you that the hotel you chose is currently closed for urgent renovations, has been the site of a devastating structural fire, or is located in the middle of a violent, riot-torn neighborhood that is currently blocked off by police. They emphasize that they are acting in your best interest, and they offer to take you to a better, safer, and more centrally located alternative hotel. Let us look at the financial architecture of this redirection. Your original hotel is perfectly fine, but the driver is not interested in your comfort. They are interested in the 50% kickback fee provided by a substandard, overpriced hotel syndicate that survives entirely on this predatory flow of redirected, panicked tourists. You are driven to a place you never vetted, charged triple the market rate, and handed a room that wouldn't pass a basic health inspection, proving that the safest transit route is often the one that ignores the expert advice of your driver. The corruption of the transit experience reaches the ticketing counter with the institutional fraud of scam number 26, the baggage weight extortion. You arrive at a remote or budget transit hub, tired and running behind schedule to check in for your flight or train. The agent informs you that your luggage is significantly over the weight limit despite your previous weigh-ins and presents you with a massive, mandatory surcharge that must be paid in cash immediately to process your boarding pass. They purposefully manipulate the calibration of the digital scale or create fabricated local transit regulations that do not actually exist, banking on the fact that you are too exhausted to challenge them, too worried about missing your departure, and too unfamiliar with the local dialect to verify the policy. It is a simple, high-volume shakedown where the authority of the uniform is used to force cash bribes from every single traveler in line who is terrified of being left behind on the tarmac. This adversarial relationship continues at the conclusion of your rental cycle, manifesting in the predatory traps of scam number 27, the rental car micro-scratch scam. You return your rental vehicle at the end of a long, stressful trip, and the agent begins a meticulous, flashlight-assisted inspection of the bodywork. They suddenly stop, wipe away a tiny speck of dust, and point to a micro-scratch located deep inside the shadow of the wheel well or underneath the rear bumper. They claim that this scratch was not present when you took possession of the vehicle, and since it is an external body impact, it is not covered by your standard insurance policy, triggering an automatic $400 processing fee that is deducted instantly from your deposit. The agency knows that you are already late for your flight, you are overwhelmed by the stress of travel, and you possess no time-stamped proof of the vehicle's condition at pickup, allowing them to systematically milk every single tourist for damages that were likely billed to hundreds of previous renters before you. Finally, we dismantle the ultimate team-based tactical extraction, exposing the engineering of scam number 28, the coordinated train exit squeeze. This scam is specifically designed for the high-velocity, high-density environment of rush-hour train doors. As the train pulls into the station, an accomplice purposefully positions themselves in the center of the doorway, struggling with a massive, unwieldy piece of luggage, effectively jamming the flow of passengers trying to exit the car. The crowd behind you bunches up, pressing tightly together as they attempt to move around the stuck obstacle. This physical compression is the primary objective of the operation. While the passengers are locked together in a tight, frustrated, slow-moving block, the secondary operators move through the squeezed crowd from behind, effortlessly vacuuming wallets, smartphones, and jewelry from the pockets of tourists whose entire physical attention is directed toward the bottleneck in the doorway, ensuring that you leave the train station significantly lighter than when you boarded. We exit the transit hubs and step directly into the seductive, highly calculated architecture of the tourist-centric commercial ecosystem to begin Part 5, the commercial trap. A cold, clinical and forensic audit of the economic illusions, structural overcharges and mathematical ambushes designed by merchants and syndicates to systematically drain your financial reserves. The modern vacation destination is not a sanctuary of culture. It is an optimized financial extraction field where every menu, cash register, and transaction terminal has been specifically calibrated to exploit your lack of local knowledge and your natural reluctance to audit the fine print. We initiate this commercial deconstruction by exposing the invisible digital skimming of scam number 29, dynamic currency conversion, or DCC. When you hand your credit card to a merchant in London, Tokyo, or Prague, the digital payment terminal smoothly prompts you with a highly comforting choice, asking if you would prefer to be billed in the local currency or in your own familiar home currency. The jet-lagged traveler naturally selects their home currency, believing they are securing a transparent transaction and avoiding foreign transaction fees. Let us look at the predatory math hidden beneath that digital prompt. By choosing your home currency, you are actively opting out of your own bank's highly regulated, highly competitive wholesale exchange rate and voluntarily handing over the conversion process to the merchant's private processing network. This network instantly applies a massive, hidden currency conversion markup ranging from 10 to 15%, layered with arbitrary administrative fees that are completely buried in the digital fine print. transforming a routine payment into a silent financial mugging that won't appear on your radar until you review your bank statement weeks later. This digital inflation of commercial transactions shifts seamlessly from the credit card terminal directly to the dining table, bringing us to the deceptive staging of scam number 30, the unpriced or double menu. You pull up a chair at a charming sidewalk cafe located right across from a major historical landmark, and the waiter smoothly hands you a beautifully illustrated menu featuring local delicacies. The tourist notes that the prices are completely omitted from the page, or perhaps listed with vague notations like "by weight," assuming that the establishment adheres to standard, reasonable market pricing. Alternatively, you enjoy a meal with clearly marked, affordable prices, but when the final check arrives, the numbers have miraculously tripled. Let us expose the administrative bait and switch behind this hospitality. The restaurant maintains two entirely distinct sets of menus: a highly affordable version displayed out front to lure pedestrian traffic inside, and an exorbitant, heavily inflated tourist menu utilized at the cash register. When you challenge the massive inflation, the staff suddenly develops a complete inability to understand your language, pointing aggressively to the bottom of a completely different document that lists arbitrary local taxes, mandatory tourist service fees, and astronomical seating charges that turn a simple lunch into an extortionate corporate transaction. The manipulation of the transaction moves from the printed menu directly into the physical currency handed back to you at the counter, introducing the monetary deceptions of scam number 31, outdated or out-of-circulation cash. When traveling through regions that have recently undergone currency updates, hyperinflationary transitions, or complete demonetization, the physical appearance of banknotes changes rapidly. The tourist, completely unfamiliar with the specific faces, colors, and security strips of the local legal tender, relies entirely on the honesty of the cashier. The expert scammer identifies this lack of visual familiarity as a prime opportunity to liquidate worthless paper. When dispensing your change from a high-denomination note, the cashier smoothly slips obsolete, completely demonetized bills from a previous decade, or hyperinflated currency from a neighboring country with a similar aesthetic into the middle of your cash stack. By the time you attempt to spend those bills at another establishment and discover that your money is nothing more than worthless, unspendable historical scrap paper, the original cashier has processed hundreds of other victims, capitalizing on the simple fact that to a foreign eye, all unfamiliar money looks exactly the same. This exploitation of the consumer's compliance takes an even more intimate, invasive turn when we examine the simple items resting on your restaurant table, leading us straight to the culinary extortion of scam number 32, the free bread and water trap. You sit down at a traditional taverna or trattoria, and before you even open the menu, the waiter automatically places a chilled bottle of mineral water, a basket of warm bread, and a small selection of local appetizers on the white tablecloth. The hungry traveler naturally assumes these items represent a welcoming gesture of traditional hospitality, or are included as a standard courtesy of the house. Let us correct basic commercial reality. The moment you twist the cap on that water bottle or break off a piece of that bread, you have legally consented to a highly expensive, non-negotiable cover fee that will be added directly to your final bill. The restaurant will charge you €10 for the unrequested water, €15 for the bread, and an astronomical fee for the appetizers, defending the practice as an ancient local culinary tradition that cannot be removed from the check, proving that in the tourist zone, nothing is more expensive than the food you never actually ordered. The extraction process moves from the restaurant table back out onto the public sidewalk, taking an aggressive, authoritative form with the structural theatre of scam number 33, the fake police inspection. While walking through a high-traffic historical district, you are suddenly approached by two serious, professional individuals wearing incredibly convincing, highly detailed police uniforms, complete with badges, utility belts, and official identification cards. They identify themselves as members of the local tourist police, the undercover vice squad, or the Financial Crimes Division, calmly explaining that the area is currently experiencing a massive surge in counterfeit currency or illicit drug transactions. They authoritatively demand that you hand over your passport and your wallet for an immediate routine roadside inspection to verify the serial numbers on your banknotes. The intimidated traveler, terrified of violating local laws or facing immediate arrest, instantly complies. Let us analyze the choreography of this search. As the fake officer methodically flips through your wallet under the pretense of looking for counterfeit seals, their highly trained fingers utilize classic stage magic sleight of hand to quietly palm a significant stack of your highest denomination notes. They then smoothly return the wallet, thank you for your civic cooperation, and walk away with an authoritative stride, leaving you completely oblivious to the theft until you open your wallet hours later to find your cash reserves systematically gutted by a uniform. This weaponization of authority takes a highly structured logistical path when we examine the transport networks that encircle historical landmarks, bringing us straight to the predatory detours of scam number 34, the special government factory sale. You hail a tuk-tuk, a rickshaw, or a local taxi to visit a famous temple, palace, or museum. But as you approach the perimeter, the driver suddenly decelerates, looking deeply disappointed. They inform you that the landmark is currently completely closed to the public due to a national holiday, a special royal ceremony, or an urgent government safety inspection. They quickly offer a spectacular alternative, stating that today happens to be the final day of an exclusive government-subsidized factory sale where rare gemstones, premium silks, or luxury leather goods are being liquidated to foreigners at a fraction of their market value. Let us dismantle the corporate backing of this detour. The historical landmark is perfectly open, but the driver is operating as a mobile scout for an organized crime syndicate. They drive you to a high-pressure, heavily secured warehouse outlet located in an industrial zone, where aggressive sales agents trap you inside, utilizing intense psychological pressure and fraudulent certifications to force you into purchasing thousands of dollars worth of worthless synthetic glass passed off as rare sapphires, ensuring that the driver receives a massive cash-filled envelope from the outlet owners for delivering a fresh target to the slaughter. Finally, we decode the classic, lightning-fast physical manipulation that occurs at the final point of sale, exposing the mechanical register tactics of scam number 35, the short change quick count. You hand a cashier a crisp, high-denomination banknote to pay for a cheap souvenir or a bottle of water, and they begin the process of counting out your change onto the counter. To demonstrate their apparent honesty, the cashier counts the notes out loud, moving at a blistering, highly rhythmic speed that completely dazzles your visual processing. Let us slow down the frame rate of this register performance. While their voice is confidently shouting out the correct numbers, their thumbs are executing a highly sophisticated physical fold, dropping several high-value bills completely under their palm, sliding them beneath the counter lip, or skipping numbers entirely in the vocal sequence. Your brain, overwhelmed by the rapid auditory rhythm and the visual clutter of the counter, simply accepts the total stack as accurate. You slide the money into your pocket, short-changed by 20 to 30% of your rightful funds, proving that the modern street cashier can easily turn the basic arithmetic of change into a highly lucrative masterclass in professional pickpocketing. We ascend finally to the absolute apex of behavioral manipulation to begin Part 6, the psychological matrix, a cold, clinical, and definitive autopsy of how the global travel industry has been systematically optimized to turn the human instinct for politeness and adventure into a predictable, multi-billion-dollar wealth extraction mechanism. In this final chapter, we pull back the administrative curtain to reveal how street syndicates do not merely steal your possessions. They systematically audit your subconscious mind, using your own evolutionary hardwiring to bypass your physical security. We initiate this final forensic breakdown by dismantling the brilliant inverted choreography of scam number 36, the legendary, helpful pickpocket warning. As you navigate an incredibly crowded train platform, transit bottleneck, or busy market square, you suddenly spot a large, prominent, official-looking sign that screams, "Warning, pickpockets active in this area." Alternatively, a highly concerned, polite stranger taps you on the shoulder, leaning in to whisper that they just saw suspicious individuals eyeing your backpack. Let us analyze the immediate, involuntary human reflex triggered by this warning. The moment your brain registers the threat of theft, your immediate neurological instinct is to seek physical reassurance that your most valuable items are still secure. You instantly tap your rear pocket, slide your hand over your front jacket lining, or clutch the bottom of your crossbody bag. You believe you are protecting your assets, but you have actually just executed a massive visual broadcast to the environment. Standing quietly nearby are the actual syndicate scouts who aren't looking at your face, they are looking exclusively at your hands. By reacting to the warning, you have precisely mapped the exact coordinates of your life savings, telling the tracking team exactly which pocket to target when they compress you into the next subway doorway. This manipulation of your natural vigilance shifts effortlessly from suspicion to desire, leading us straight to the seductive architectures of scam number 37, the flirtatious local or tea house trap. This highly organized operation specifically profiles solo travelers wandering through cultural hubs like Shanghai, Istanbul, or Budapest. An attractive, articulate, and extraordinarily charming local approaches you, striking up a casual conversation about your travels, your home country, or their deep desire to practice their English conversational skills. The flattered, lonely tourist relaxes, celebrating their incredible luck at making an authentic local connection. Within 10 minutes, the new friend smoothly suggests moving away from the crowded street to a charming traditional local tea house, a hidden basement jazz bar, or a historic cocktail lounge nearby. Let us step through the threshold of this backroom setup. The venue is completely owned and operated by a violent, organized crime syndicate. You enjoy a modest round of teas, beers, or local snacks, but the moment you ask for the check, the waiter presents a bill for several $1,000s. When you protest this mathematical absurdity, the attractive local companion suddenly slips out the back door, replaced instantly by 3 massive, silent security guards who lock the exit and surround your table, aggressively intimating physical violence until you systematically max out your debit and credit cards on their portable payment terminals, proving that the ultimate cost of a casual flirtation is the total liquidation of your travel budget. The commodification of your travel logistical path moves from the lounge back to the historical monument gates, introducing the paper illusions of scam number 38, counterfeit landmark skip-the-line tickets. You arrive at an iconic monument like the Colosseum, the Eiffel Tower, or the Taj Mahal, only to find an exhausting 3-hour waiting line snaking around the pavement. Suddenly, an energetic individual wearing an official laminated badge and a professional uniform steps up to the line, identifying themselves as an authorized official street guide or a registered monument representative. They announce that they possess an exclusive, limited inventory of high-priority VIP skip-the-line tickets that will allow you to bypass the entire queue immediately for a modest premium fee. The sun-beaten, exhausted tourist eagerly hands over their cash, receives a beautifully printed, high-resolution ticket complete with holographic stickers and official barcodes, and walks confidently to the front gate. Let us witness the administrative rejection at the turnstile. The ticket is a completely worthless photocopy, generated by the thousands in a back alley print shop. The official guide has already vanished into the urban labyrinth with your cash, leaving you stranded at the security barrier to explain to real, unsympathetic transit guards that you have just funded an illegal document ring. This aggressive occupation of public space takes a literal, physical form when we analyze the predatory costuming of scam number 39, photographic mascot entrapment. As you stroll through high-traffic plazas like Times Square, the fontanas of Rome, or Hollywood Boulevard, you are suddenly swarmed by individuals dressed as famous cartoon characters, historical gladiators, or floating street statues. Before you can say no, they throw their arms around your shoulders, hand you historical props like plastic swords or flowers, and flashing wide smiles, encourage your companion to take a rapid photograph with your smartphone. Let us look at the financial ambush that occurs the moment the camera shutter clicks. The playful performance instantly hardens into a hostile containment. The character drops all cartoon whimsy, their voice turning cold as they demand an astronomical performance fee of $50 or $100 for the photograph. If you refuse, they let out a loud whistle, and 4 other sweat-soaked mascots instantly materialize from the crowd to physically block your path, aggressively shouting accusations of labor exploitation to weaponize the gaze of surrounding tourists, forcing a swift financial capitulation from an embarrassed traveler who just wanted a simple vacation memory. The weaponization of human guilt moves from Hollywood costuming directly into the spiritual cosmos, leading us straight to the psychological coercions of scam number 40, the fake spiritual blessing. This operation prowls near sacred temples, historic rivers, and ancient pilgrimage sites where tourists are seeking deep cultural enlightenment. A serene, robed ascetic, holy man, or monk approaches you silently, uttering words of profound peace while automatically wrapping a sacred red thread around your wrist or placing a traditional paste mark on your forehead. The tourist stands frozen, reluctant to interrupt what they perceive to be a highly sensitive, authentic religious ritual. However, the moment the spiritual knot is secured, the holy man's serenity completely dissolves. They firmly grip your arm, pointing to an official-looking ledger and demanding a massive, immediate cash donation to their monastery or charity. If you hesitate or proffer a modest coin, their tone shifts to deep, theatrical outrage. They loudly proclaim that you have desecrated a sacred space, and they explicitly threaten to place a powerful spiritual curse on your health, your marriage, and your family back home, counting on the hidden, irrational pockets of superstition buried deep within even the most rational modern mind to force you to empty your wallet to buy back your spiritual peace. The administrative isolation of your belongings returns to the transport networks with the logistical deceptions of scam number 41, the secure compartment porters. As you board a long-distance overnight train or an intercity bus, an individual wearing an official station uniform or a porter's cap boards the carriage, inspects your ticket, and looks at your large suitcase with an expression of severe bureaucratic disapproval. They authoritatively inform you that under new, strict local transit safety regulations, bags of your specific dimension are completely banned from the passenger carriage and must be immediately moved to a separate, locked, and secure cargo hold at the rear of the vehicle. The compliant passenger, anxious to obey local transit laws and avoid a fine, allows the porter to wheel their bag away. Let us audit the security of that cargo hold. The individual is not an employee of the transit company. They are a highly specialized thief who has infiltrated the platform. The secure cargo hold is actually a dark alleyway or an open platform where the bag is rapidly sliced open, stripped of all laptops, jewelry, and emergency cash reserves, and left discarded by the tracks, leaving you to realize the total compromise of your life's valuables only when the train is already traveling at full speed toward the next province. Finally, we dismantle the grand architecture of the entire enterprise to expose the ultimate realization of scam number 42, the ultimate behavioral annuity. As we conclude this global security audit, we must confront the chilling, systemic truth that street syndicates do not actually steal from your pockets. They steal from your deeply conditioned psychological architecture. Every scam we have forensically dissected across this documentary relies entirely on a single, massive human vulnerability: your profound aversion to public conflict, your deep-seated training to remain polite to strangers, and your neurological exhaustion under the weight of travel disorientation. The criminal syndicates of the world do not look at you as an individual. They look at you as a highly predictable, easily auditable stream of behavioral data. They understand precisely how many seconds it takes for a tourist's brain to process a fluid spill, how a human hand moves when startled by a falling object, and exactly how much cash a civilized person will hand over to escape a loud, embarrassing public scene. By treating your hardwired social manners and evolutionary survival reflexes as a simple software vulnerability, the global underground has transformed the beautiful human desire for exploration into a flawless, highly optimized, multi-billion-dollar corporate mechanism of wealth extraction. They have turned your politeness into a literal annuity, ensuring that as long as you choose to step out into the world with a gentle smile and an open hand, there will always be an expert thief standing in the shadows, waiting patiently to turn your own humanity against you.